Okay, welcome everybody. This is a bit of a trial to see how the live streaming works. I think the important thing that I want to discuss, the question is, will you be immune after COVID? So this is a very important question. Will you be immune after COVID? Because what happens to antibodies? What happens if you've already had the virus? Now, there's a very, very interesting article and a study that was just published 2 days ago, which I want to discuss with you quickly. So firstly, welcome to everyone that's new to the channel. I know most of you have seen some of the videos, but anyway, welcome if there's anyone new or anyone watching the recording afterwards, which was not part of the live chat. So let's jump straight into it. The question is, if you do get COVID, what happens to your body? Do you get antibodies? Now, the study that they published 2-3 days ago was a study with asymptomatic patients and symptomatic patients. So all of them had COVID, positive tested, but some of them had symptoms and some of them did not have symptoms. Please remember, if you have questions, you can put them in the chat a little bit later. I'll read them at the end of the discussion when I ask you guys to put questions down. You can put them down and we can have a nice Q&A on that. Okay, so now what happened in the results? This is now really interesting. So they saw that the patients that had no symptoms developed antibodies because they did blood tests on all of them, but they only developed 3.2 antibodies on average, whereas the patients that had symptoms, fever, and they were sick, they developed over 20 antibodies. It's a specific count they use. So it's almost 6 to 7 times more in the patients that had symptoms. Then what they also did, it was really interesting. They did a blood test 6 to 8 weeks after the infection. And then they saw that 40% of the antibodies in the asymptomatic patients disappeared. So that means they had only 60% of the antibodies left. In the patients that were symptomatic, only 12.9% of the antibodies disappeared. So they still had a whole lot of immunity left, 6 to 8 weeks, which is almost 2 months after the infection. So they had strong immune response when they were ill. The other thing that they also saw was that the asymptomatic patients, the one with very, very mild symptoms or no symptoms, could spread the virus for about 19 days after their test. And interesting enough, the sick ones could spread the virus for about 14 days after their test. And that's where we get our 14-day quarantine situation to try and limit the spread of the virus. Okay, now, my daughter asked me a very interesting question. She said, so is it then bad if you don't have very active symptoms, if you're asymptomatic? Then it means you're going to get the virus again. You're not immune. You don't have antibodies. You have to understand how the antibodies work and how the body works. Remember when we spoke about my incredible immune system, your immune system has 2 ways of responding against the virus. Number one, it will try and kill the virus as soon as possible. That's with your macrophages and your cells that just eat up the virus. But the viruses, replicate quite quickly, and you need a secondary immune response, the one that makes the antibodies. Now, we've got cells in our body. Remember, the white cells are the immune cells. They have T cells and B cells. The T cells will stimulate the B cells to make antibodies. But they change the B cells as well. They make them memory cells. Now, memory cells are really crucial as far as immunity goes. So you want to be immune, but also when you get exposure to the virus again, let's say you get sick and you're well and it's now next winter or it's 3 months down the line, can you get COVID again? Okay, your antibodies gets produced by the B plasma cells. The antibodies will eventually disappear. They just get less and less because remember, they circulate in the bloodstream and they're not there all the time. But if you do get exposed to the virus again, let's say someone's ill and you have contact with them, what your body does, it's got memory cells now. It knows what the virus looks like, and it will make a whole lot of new antibodies very quickly, sometimes without you even getting ill. And that's what we need. We need those memory cells to be ready to make new antibodies when we get exposed to the virus again. So the memory cells are going to be key in you not getting the virus again. It might well be, if you had a very mild infection, that you'll have low antibodies for the next few weeks or for this winter, but you still have the memory cells for the next episodes. And that's why, you don't get chickenpox again. Because remember, chickenpox, all the viruses work the same. We know that we can recognize them the first time. We might get pretty ill the first time, but then we have a memory of it and we can make new antibodies. And that's why you won't get a COVID-19 pandemic next year again. You might get a whole lot of patients getting sick, but it's not going to be a pandemic across the world like we're seeing at the moment, because it was a completely new coronavirus. And if you have a new virus, in this case a coronavirus, then no one in the world has memory cells that knows how to fight this virus. So every single person has to go through the process of producing the antibodies, and which is a bit of a mission, but that's why we're seeing what we're seeing at the moment. Most of the time, it's mutations that we see. There's a flu virus, a bad flu. The next year it changes a little bit. You get sick, but you don't get as sick, and not everyone gets, the same virus. So I think it's encouraging to see that they've determined that you do get antibodies. They might not last as long, but at least they are there, and we definitely know that you have memory cells against the virus. So in summary, that is what it's all about. We do get antibodies. They don't last for long, but you want, the B cells to be there. And that's why you've got to look after your body, because your body is dependent on good health, activity, vitamin C, enough sleep, all the normal things we talk about, enough vitamin D. All those things help your immune system. If you're under stress, it's reduced. That's why people, for instance, why do you think people get shingles? They get shingles because it's the chickenpox virus. And if they're under a lot of stress or the immune system is down, they get a shingles breakout, which is the chickenpox virus that actually surfaces again and grows again. And that's why you get that. Now, the same with any other virus. If your immune system is down and you're stressed and you have immune compromised situation, you can definitely get a problem with getting the virus again. Okay, so I think that was a short summary, 10-minute summary of what I wanted to present. If there's any questions that you want to ask, you can put them in the comments, and let's see if I can answer some of them. Then I can put them on YouTube as normal, and also probably just share them on Facebook as well, on the Facebook page, so that people can just know about this. I think it's a relevant topic because a lot of people think, what's going to happen? Am I going to be immune? I think the other interesting thing is what about travel passports? That's going to be a hot topic. Can I travel? Can I fly to Europe? Can I fly wherever? Are they going to allow me to go into the country? Do I have to show my antibodies? Now, we haven't got any news on that yet, but and we haven't got vaccinations yet. So we will probably find something close to like a yellow fever situation, where you have to have a card to fly in certain countries if you want to go there, like you have with yellow fever at the moment. Also, you must remember, in the medical field, we're quite used to this, because if you want to go work in the UK or any other country, you've got to prove that you're immune against hepatitis B and hepatitis A. So you need to do a blood test to show your antibodies against hepatitis B and hepatitis A before you can go work in other countries. So I know people are a little bit uncomfortable with the fact that you might need a travel passport and you might need to prove that you're immune, but I think that might be something that we'll see. Yeah, Elsa, thanks for the comment. I think it is definitely positive information. We wanted to see if your body produces antibodies, and we now know it does. The question is still, how long will they last? We've only got information up till 6 to 8 weeks, but it looks like, like I said, the symptomatic group still had almost 90% of the antibodies left after 8 weeks. Yes, Maga, thanks. What I will do, I'll post the link of the article in the bottom in the description. If you want to know where it's from, it came from the Nature Medicine journal, medical journal. It was published on the 18th of June, 2020, and it read, I'll read it for you, Clinical and Immunological Assessment of Asymptomatic SARS-CoV-2 Infection. So they had a whole lot of patients. It was actually done in China. And they did a lot of tests on them. They did scans on them, they did blood tests on them, on both the symptomatic and the asymptomatic patients. But yes, I'll put the link of the in the description down the bottom that you can read the study. It's actually quite thorough. It's an interesting one to read. Okay, so thank you and thanks for watching. Ja, dankie Ilse. And yes, talk again, and let's do this again some other time. I'll post a link. Have a wonderful evening and stay healthy and stay safe.